So hey guys, it's Ziant again, here with some Crysis 3 beta action for you. I'm not going to do a first impressions video, save to say that I like the game. I think it's an improvement over Crysis 2, it looks great, and it runs great, and I like it. That's all I'm going to say on the matter, because you can get a first impressions video anywhere, but if you really want to see what I really think about it, then please post up in the comments that you want to see a first impressions video. I have a couple more pieces of footage that I can put up, and I can make that for you. But right now though, I have something I want to talk about, and that is the idea of a game being a beta for the next game. And you see this especially in Call of Duty, but more specifically with Crysis 3. I feel like Crysis 2 took the original Crysis formula of a nanosuit and applied it to multiplayer, but because Crytek didn't really know what they were doing with multiplayer at the time, they didn't have it quite down yet. And so they used Crysis 2's multiplayer as a 2-year thing, as a lesson, as a beta for Crysis 3. And the first thing that really gets me thinking about this is the fact that they split the energy into 2 sections. In Crysis 2, you had one bank of energy for your running, for your jumping, for your cloak, and for your armor. Here, you have infinite sprint without needing an energy boost. You have jump, which takes up no extra energy, and then armor and stealth are taken up by 2 separate energy bars. And while you wouldn't think it would make that much of a difference, it makes a huge difference, because you can switch between cloak and armor seamlessly without having to worry about one running out of the other. And you can sprint, and you can jump, and you don't have to worry about running out of energy in the middle of your jump and not being able to cloak away. So the idea that you can get around a whole lot easier and survive a whole lot better is much more apparent, let's say, in Crysis 3. One of the interesting things that I found is that I play a whole lot better in Crysis 3 than I did in Crysis 2. And that could be because in Crysis 2, when I was playing, everyone had played Crysis 2, and so they knew the maps, they knew how to work, there were hacks all over the place, yada yada yada. And it might just be that I've gotten better at the game, I don't know. But I do know that the beta feels a lot smoother than Crysis 2 launch title did, and it looks a lot nicer, and it runs better on my graphics card. So what about this game acting as beta when, in fact, Crysis 2 had a beta, and this is the beta for Crysis 3? Well, that comes down to game development. There are things you do when you're designing a game, ideas that seem like really good ones at the time, and then you put them into practice, and they're hard-coded into the game, and, well, you can't change them. And I imagine that the one bank of energy was something Crytek probably wanted to change somewhere during Crysis 2's life cycle, but because it was a core mechanic of the game, they couldn't just change it outright. When you have something like Black Ops 2's Black Box that you hear talk about, where they can change weapon damage and modify perks and things like that, that's not changing a hard code. Instead, what it is changing times and changing recoil patterns and changing a couple points on the damage model. It's not changing a core mechanic, it's not changing the 60 frames per second, it's not changing fire rates or what perks do or what a map looks like. It's changing very minor things. Something like Crysis 2's one bank of energy, that's not a minor thing. That is something central to the game of Crysis 2. And then, of course, you had the rampant hacking that, while I wasn't a part of it when it was big because of Crysis 2 I just released, I know that it was an issue. And Crytek has made it clear that they want to put in as much anti-cheat as they can, because they want the launch of their game to be as smooth as possible. I'm just worried that the cheaters aren't coming out of the woodwork right now because it's just a beta, there's no point, stats are going to be reset. And cheaters, for the most part, only care about the core game stats. I've run out of time again, because this is a shorter video, but if you really want to see my first impressions, post up in the comments below, and I might continue this discussion later. Thanks for watching, guys.